Okay,
Broadcast is
we're live. This is Attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. And I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Miss G, Miss Georgette Truan. Miss G, good evening. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Doing great. And my other co-host is Mr. Darren Guay. Darren, how are you today?
I'm excellent, Mr. Davis. Really good. Thank you for asking.
And I see we have a special guest tonight, Miss Barbara Rowe. Miss Rowe, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine. Where are you coming to us from?
Redding, California.
Oh, Redding, up there in
Yeah.
near Shasta County.
Shaftview County? Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
You know, I've actually done CPS cases there. The last time I was there, I ran into one of the county council prosecutors who I hadn't seen her in years, but she started in LA. And in LA, she defended parents, but she moved up to that part of the state and she was prosecuting parents.
Wow.
I let her know how disappointed I was in her.
Yeah. They are just, I know it's like a necessary evil. I get that. I do. Because there are people, I used to be an administrator of a group home. So I know some of the stuff that happens to kids. I mean, we had this one case where there were parents that for hours had sat with a straight pin and had repeatedly poked a 6-month-old infant for hours just to do it. So I get that. But I have seen far more atrocities that they've done that are just, I mean, how many times a day can you say WTF? You know what I mean? You're just kind of like going, how did you just do that? I mean, and the lies. In my case, the truth was bad enough. I'm not going to say that I was innocent. I had lost my daughter. My other daughter was arrested for murder. My mother was killed 3 days later by a drunk driver. I mean, the whole thing was just, and I got really depressed and I blew out for about a year. They weren't hungry. I spent way too much money on them. I did, but I wasn't emotionally there for them. I was just gone. So were there concerns? You bet. But why did they have to make up the stuff that they did? It was like, I was never offered reunification. I was never offered anything. And I think possibly, I mean, this is my spin theory. A few years before, I had custody of the 3 little ones who are my husband's biological grandkids. But I got them from birth. The twins were born positive for opiates. And I worked it out with CPS that I would take care of them during the day while she went to a day program and she got her stuff done, and she'd take the twins home and take care of them at night. I mean, we had that going. And then her boyfriend blew out through a dirty test and they pulled her kids. Even though when she was told that he had thrown a dirty test, she kicked him out that night. They took her kids anyhow. And if I didn't step up, they were going to put him in foster care. So I did. And then 11 months later, she had another one. Now, and I already had custody of my oldest grandson whose mom died. So I had 4 little ones. And then she kept blowing out. And then finally I told her no more, you can't. She took off with the kids, brought them back with MRSA. I mean, all this other stuff. And I said, when you get clean, you can come get your kids. No problem. I never, see, I'm going to cry. I never wanted to take my daughter's children from them ever. And a lot of these parents that think that their parents are stepping in to take away their children, it's not. I didn't wake up one day in my late 50s or late 40s and decide that I wanted to do it again another 18 years. You know what I'm saying? I had plans, but my daughters needed me. So, but then a lot of other stuff happened. A lot of trauma happened and I blew it. But
Wait a minute. When you say you blew it, what do you mean?
I got really depressed. I got really depressed and the kids were late to school. I wasn't making meetings. I just was depressed. I was not emotionally available for them.
Most people generally nowadays think, depression may be a medical condition. That's like, hey, I'm sorry I got cancer,
Right.
right? That's kind of ridiculous, but maybe, there were other things going on. Depression is just not a state of mind. Sometimes it's, can be biological, or it could be, things associated. What I'm learning these days is they're associating a lot of clinical depression with things that we eat.
Right.
Well, holy smokes, this woman had her family's been
And,
murdered.
I
Everything.
mean,
This is terrible.
but who knows what it could be? But I don't think you should be apologizing for it.
Wow.
I wasn't apologizing to them. I was apologizing to my grandkids because in one of the reports, besides all the stuff that actually didn't happen, there was a place in there where my granddaughter had told one of the social workers that my grandma goes in the bedroom a lot and cries. And that makes me sad because, they were little kids. They were 7, 8 years old. They don't know how to fix me. They don't know how to make it better for me. And it wasn't their job to make it better for me. I was supposed to be looking out for them. But where they're at now, they're miserable. And I only know that because they're back kind of with their mom. She's not supposed to be around them, but I'm not calling CPS and telling them. Her mom has her watch them. It's a long story, Mr. Davis. It's mind-boggling. My husband's ex-wife never wanted these kids. She never wanted them. She wanted her to have an abortion. When she wouldn't do it, she wanted her to give them up for adoption. When I fought to help her keep custody of them, she pulled me off to the side and said, why don't you adopt them, and then we can find a nice family and we'll give them to them. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You just want to. So anyhow, she got the 3 little ones, and within a year, she got rid of the youngest one. It's just, I don't know. It's just a bad situation all the way around. But the thing is that CPS lied about stuff.
Where is your case now?
I have been fighting for the last year and a half, just trying to get visitation. The last time that I saw my grandkids was in 2019, December 2019. I went into court. They were handing the judge reports that had not been filed. And I questioned the judge. I said, they can't do that. You got to take that stuff upstairs. It's got to be stamped. I'm supposed to get a copy of it. You have to file it before you can just hand it. And they said, oh, would you like a continuance? And I said, yes, I would. And they said, in order to get a continuance, you have to voluntarily give up all your visitation. And that was kind of like the last. I mean, they had hammered me so many times up until that point. And I blew it. I walked out of the courtroom and I threw away 20 years of recovery. I just said, they're not going to.
So you know what? You did it and things happened. Let's move forward, right? Don't worry about what you did. You were good.
Yes. I got almost 2 years clean again. I've been getting counseling for 2 years. I mean, we're good now. And all I've asked them, I filed a JV 180, tried to get them just to get visitation. We just want to see them. We just want to let them know that we haven't forgotten them, that I haven't stopped fighting. We just want to see them. And they have denied. I mean, you're just sitting in this courtroom and listening to this stuff. These people don't even know me. And they're throwing stuff up like domestic violence. And I'm like, produce the documents. There was never any domestic violence in our house. I mean, there's no nothing. They have no documents of anything.
I heard this story before.
And it's like, how do you fight them? I don't know how to fight them.
But you said you lost them in 2019?
Yes.
And did they file a motion? Did you hire an attorney? Was there any motions filed?
That one gets really funny. We finally got into court. They took them July 23rd. which in itself is my husband's ex-wife did it on purpose. She did it it was the anniversary of my daughter's death. So she just didn't bring him back that day. So
Wow.
then it finally get into court until October. We're in court in October. They finally get an attorney that can actually represent us, because my husband's ex-wife likes to go and speak to every attorney in the county so that there's nobody to represent us. Because once she goes
Conflict
in
of
there,
interest.
right. So we finally get this one lady who does nothing. She missed the first 2 meetings that I was supposed to schedule with her. And then the last time she just sat there and watched them handing these reports to this judge. And I'm the one who had to speak up. And then a year ago, I contacted her and asked her if she still had all the paperwork. And she says, no, I destroyed it all. And I'm like, it hasn't even been 2 years. What do you mean you destroyed it all? But then because at first I filed in family court, because when I called CPS, they said they no longer had jurisdiction. So I went to family court and tried to get visitation. And we get up there and the judge says, you can't do that here. So then they send us back over to juvenile dependency. And then all of a sudden the attorney shows up and she starts acting like she's helping us. And I'm like, why are you even here? How do you even, no one called you. And so she was there for a couple times, and then she just stopped showing up again. And then when I asked her the last time, she says, I had to step away. And I'm like, why did you even step up? No one asked you. I mean, it's just weird, Mr. Davis. The whole thing is it's just weird. It's like in the reports, they say that I didn't take the kids to the doctor, but they're saying that I missed all these appointments at the Redding Rancheria. My grandkids weren't patients at the Redding Rancheria. And when I asked the social worker, I said, did you go to Shasta Community Health Center like I told you? And she says, I didn't have time. But she still put it in the report that I didn't take them to the doctor. And I'm like, okay, how do you do that?
Did you have an attorney, Barbara?
I contacted you guys back then, but I didn't have, at the time, I didn't have the retainer. So we went with my bad. We went with the court appointed one, and she did nothing except, I don't know. I don't even know what she was doing. It was just weird.
You got that right the first time. She did nothing.
She did nothing.
Yeah.
And most of the time I sit there and I kind of watch her and I'm thinking, I kind of think half the time she's high on meth, because she's doing this whole chewy thing with her mouth and she's doing her little, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
You know what? You're not the only one who said that. A lot of people tell me that they've seen their court-appointed attorney in San Bernardino County at a bar, and she was smoking weed.
Well, yeah,
and drunk and high, and
right.
They took pictures and video of her and showed it to their court-appointed, the other council to
right.
whatever. Oh, the minors council. Nothing happened. Nothing happened to them.
No, and it doesn't happen. There was a case like right around, before all this started, when my husband's daughter, she's my daughter, but it's his bio daughter, when she had her 4th baby, they didn't notify us. We weren't on speaking terms, and they didn't notify us. He was born on the 7th. They didn't call me till the 11th. He already had foster parents up there. And I'm like, why does he have foster parents up there? And they, well, we didn't know she had family. And I said something completely inappropriate. I called her I said, you're a liar. I said, after my daughter gave birth to 3 babies in this hospital born positive for opiates, they flagged her at the door. I said, and the first call they made was to you, and you gave me full guardianship last week. Don't you tell me you didn't know she had family. And they went, oh, well, you just had so many. I'm like, well, I don't care if she's got 768. It's my grandchild. And they started threatening me, telling me if I didn't back off of that baby, let him get adopted, they were going to come after the other ones, which they did. And I had to appeal that to a judge in Sacramento who said, don't you already have full guardianship? I'm like, yeah. He goes, what are they doing? I said, I have no idea, Your Honor. So we're on a 3-way call, and he asks the social worker in Chico, he says, can you explain to me what you people are doing? And she goes, no, I'll have to get back to you. And he says, no, you won't. You leave her alone. I'm granting her appeal. Leave her alone. A week later, I came back from a field trip with the twins, and the answering machine had a message from the social worker that said, "By the way, Mrs. Rowe, we wanted to let you know we had your grandparent rights terminated today. You have a nice day." And they're laughing in the background.
Oh yeah, I believe that. They do
And
that.
that's the fourth one. Then
Yeah.
Rachel had another one a year ago that they never even notified us at all that she had. And I'm still trying to get visitation with the other one. So I don't know whether to rock the boat, or I don't even know. I just want to see them.
Can I, if I may ask, Barbara?
You can ask me anything.
The kids are with, you said, with your ex-husband's wife, or
Yes.
so
Yes.
you said she was his ex-wife, right?
Yes.
I'm confused. So she still has the kids?
She has two of them now. She's cut off contact with the oldest one. That was my oldest daughter's son. He got sent to his dad in Bernie, they've already raided the house a couple times, and whatever, I'm not even. But then she's got the twins. She got rid of the youngest.
Right.
Supposedly the trauma, he has all this trauma that couldn't be fixed. He was not fixable. And I'm like, I don't even know where she would. I mean, did she go to a neurologist? I don't know.
No. That's a normal behavior of a child, because
Right.
you're stripping them away from their family, and
Right.
she's not really family, really. So they behave that way, but then they blame you, or they
Right.
blame the father, or they blame the mom, or
Right.
whatever. So
Right.
this is how children behave normally when you strip them away from the one they love.
Right.
And I believe you are the one they loved, because you are the one they were closer to.
Well, I had them since birth. All of them. I've had them since birth. And I mean, if my daughter, I don't think she's clean. I mean, she killed this man in 2017. Her and her boyfriend killed some guy from Riverside here. They shot him, and then they took his car up to Lassen and lit it on fire. And I don't know how they got away with it, but they did. And she went to prison for like a year and a half, and she's out. And she has the twins because she brought them by my husband's work one day, and they were hysterical, wanting to know where I was, wanting to see us. So when this attorney, the kids' attorney, was in court a couple of weeks ago, and he says, well, the kids don't really want to see her. And I'm thinking, well, that's not, and I said this to the judge. I said, that's not what they said last summer when they came and looked us up. And the judge kind of looks at him and goes, well, maybe they're open to it a little bit. And I'm thinking, why lie? I mean, you just sit there and they're just so backwards here.
No, they're backwards in the United States, Barbara.
Right. But
not just your county or state. No.
One of the things I think, and I could be just me. Okay, this is my spin theory. When I was in an office before all this stuff happened with the one grandchild, I was in an office, and the social worker went to print some stuff off. And you know how they have like cubbies, but the rooms, they don't go all the way up to the top. So you can hear what's going on in the room next door. Well, there was a social worker that came in, and she was training somebody, and I could hear them. And I hear her talking about bonuses that they get for removing kids. And I'm thinking, nah, that's not what I can't be saying that. Right. Because I'm thinking they don't do stuff like that. And then she says the bonuses go up if they're Black. And I'm thinking, what? I could believe that. They go up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But I mean, it took me a couple, and I couldn't repeat verbatim what they said. But that was.
I heard biracial. Biracial. Yeah. That's what I heard. Right. If the kids are mixed with Black and white, or Black and Latino. And yeah, I heard that part. But
we just had a city council meeting. I mean, I think it made the national news last week, a couple of days ago, where one of the guys in the city council meeting called another gentleman the N-word, and the guy got upset, naturally, but they kicked the guy out that was called the name, and they let the other guy stay. I mean, this is just Shaftu County. It's a good old boy town. It's always been like this. It's just, I mean, I think we have like the highest violent crime rate per capita anywhere. We have the highest homeless rate because they won't do anything to help anybody. We have the highest, I mean, this is where they parole all the sex offenders. This is like, you know, and it's a beautiful place to live, but it's got, yeah. Anyhow, so I did talk to you on the phone about a month and a half ago, Mr. Davis, and I am trying right now to go back. I'm on disability, but I'm trying to go back to school to finish my master's in psych. But I would like to also get a law degree. I would like to go back and get a law degree, because even if I never see my grandkids again, and I'm praying that God's got a better plan, but even if I don't, somebody, I want to be on board with holding them accountable for the crap that they do. Because they just, I mean, people make mistakes. They do. And a lot of these kids, there's reasons, but sometimes there's no reason. We have this guy, my husband works out at Knopf. He works with this young guy. He's got 5 little kids. His wife tried to commit suicide, and then she walked out on him. So CPS comes and takes his kids away. Okay. Because, oh my gosh, he's a single dad. I mean, how many moms have been doing this forever, right? So, but then they tell him, well, we might give you back the 2 oldest ones.
Yep. Because they're not adoptable, Barbara.
Either he is a bad parent or he's not.
Right.
You don't get to tell him how many kids he can have. This is America. And it's like, what do you mean you can have 2? You can have 2. Wow. I mean, they just, anyhow, I have started a book. I've got an outline, kind of, and I have started my blog, so I'm doing research and trying to find myths and stuff that on CPS. And there actually was a case, a senator back in, was it Georgia, that had opened up a case.
Nancy Schaefer?
Yes, that's her. Yes. Yeah. Where she miraculously gets killed, right?
Well,
but right.
She was murdered because she got death threats and
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I'm telling you, when this whole thing with the kids started, I went through 12 phones in 1 year. I was in this business office sitting there typing a 12-page letter to the judge. And all of a sudden my phone started deleting the letter, and I held it up to the lady in the window. I'm like, are you watching this? She goes, that phone's possessed. I'd get rid of it. And it's like,
oh, wait, Barbara, speaking of that possessed phone, I had a potential client that showed me a video when she was sitting. She was actually sitting having a conversation with her attorney, in a private office.
Right.
And the attorney recorded what was going on to her phone. She held the phone up to me like this, right?
Right.
She held the phone up to him like this. And then you see how all the text messages, well,
right.
They just go and erase so fast,
right?
To the point where she couldn't even stop,
right?
The craziness that was happening, and the attorney she was at couldn't believe his eyes.
Right.
He recorded it.
Right.
But it was all the text messages to the social worker. It was the social worker, the supervisor of the social worker, some other email messages to the attorney that was assigned to her. I mean, it was crazy.
It is crazy. We were staying in a motel here.
I thought I was seeing things.
Broke into the motel and stole my folder. I had a binder, one of those zipped up binders. Someone stole with all my case notes. Someone broke in and stole I'm like,
I believe it.
And then because my husband was driving truck for a while, I started, because he kept telling me people were following us, and I'm thinking, you're just crazy. Nobody's following us.
They are.
Right. So I started taking pictures of license plates. Okay. So we're in Arizona, and we're sitting in the truck waiting to get loaded at a dock. And all of a sudden, this little red car pulls up in front of us, backs up like it's going to slam into us. And he goes, get that license plate. So I take, and I already had a picture of that license plate here in California. I'm like, okay, this is just weird. This is spooky. Why? Why? Why would I be a threat? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I am a nobody in a town that has all the power. The only thing I have is a mouth.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because when you have a mouth and you have your own, when you have common sense and you have a mouth, they see you as a threat.
Right.
And that's not good, especially
They
a
don't like
woman.
it when you're educated either. They don't like it if you're educated.
No, they don't like it if you're educated and you did your homework and you consulted with attorneys. What is that
Right.
sound? Oh, okay.
Which
Is it
one?
me or someone else? Okay.
I don't
but
know.
they don't
We
like
got
it.
thunder going on out there, so it could be that.
No. I hear like music or something. Yeah. But
Oh, it was my phone making a noise.
okay. Yeah, but they don't want you to be able to be to have an opinion, and that's why they retaliate worse against you. So if you had, for example, an attorney that understood juvenile
Right.
laws, they would not be able to do that. You understand? They're
Right.
gonna watch everything they're doing. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But they count on you guys not be able to afford an attorney. I have
Right.
a guy that's gonna meet me in the office from San Bernardino County. He and his mother never been through this. So same thing. They wouldn't put the children with the grandmother, the paternal grandmother. Why? Because they said they don't know her. I mean, she said, "Come and assess my home," whatever,
Right.
right?
Right.
They wouldn't. But the offending parent was the mother, his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend. They don't live
Right.
together. He has his own house in San Bernardino. So does his mom. They have their own separate places, and he doesn't live there, so he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't
Right.
know. So
Right.
then, before then, before then, he went to family court, and family court told him he showed the judge pictures of his ex-girlfriend trying to cut her breast. The
Right.
judge said, it doesn't matter. I'm going to give her another chance. So he couldn't do anything. But then they don't live together anymore, so he doesn't know what's going on. But anyway, CPS was reported. He tried to express to CPS. He reported it to family court judge. The family court judge said, I'm going to give her a chance. And that's what happened. So somebody reported her that she's trying to commit suicide and she's taking drugs and all that. But the point I'm trying to make is that either family court judge nor juvenile court judges really know what they're doing. And I'm being
Right.
honest.
Right.
And it's apparent with people like you and people like everyone else I spoke with today. I spoke to 22 people who all said the same thing. And they're all San Bernardino and one Sacramento. I'm like, what the heck is happening here?
So
All
I know that
San
there's a
Bernardino.
lot of us. Why don't we all get together? And I mean, because the more that you have, the more noise you make.
But we understand that part, Barbara. But again, they keep people silent, holding their kids hostage. A lot
Yeah.
of people are reluctant to speak. I mean, look at me. I mean, we had a guest that said something and they suspended our show for like a week.
Oh, I
You know?
remember a year ago when we were
Yeah.
trying to do this thing. It
Yeah.
kept shutting down it was crazy.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about YouTube. We can't even
Right.
talk freely on YouTube because they
Right.
will shut our show down because a guest said something, right?
Right.
And the thing is, they want to do something, but they're afraid to do it. So there is a way to be heard, but everybody have to be united together, meaning
Right.
all the states have to come together and protest.
So how do we do that?
Well, in your state or Darren state or, Misty state, all the people that are involved in this show or any other show on Mr. Davis's platform should design or should align people in their state to start a movement.
Okay.
And believe me, when the media sees that everybody is in on it, they're going to report this. They're going to report this. But when you see only 15 people protesting in one county,
Right.
come on.
Right. Right.
And most of them are set up by the Department of Children and Family Services saying, one guy said last year, well, I do drugs, I did meth on the camera. I'm like,
Oh,
huh?
jeez.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah. I'm like, who got you there? Right? There's no way in hell you even have a job at this point.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
they can give somebody a couple of bucks for them to say a few words. And then he can go buy whatever he needs to buy with it. Get it? So
Right.
what I'm saying is we need a big movement. We need like big,
Right.
huge movement. That
I'm in.
everybody's out of the house. Everybody's protesting. Everybody
Right.
demands a change. Everybody needs to do
So
this.
how do we do that,
Then,
Mr. Davis? How do we do
well,
that?
Mr. Davis doesn't agree with me 75% of the time, or maybe 90% of the time.
Yes, he does. I watch you guys all the time. He agrees with you.
No,
Wait,
I disagree with her 99% of the time.
Right. So 99% of the time. Yes, we are a dynamic team. I get it. But we are so but
Yeah.
You
but
know
you
what?
can answer.
You know what, Barbara? I'm going to answer your question. And I'm going to start something right now tonight. And I've said this before. We talk a lot, but we don't do anything.
Well, started, Davis. You said that before and nothing happened.
So let's start tonight. Let's start at the two ends of the country.
Okay.
We have Maine and California.
And we have Pennsylvania. We have
Could you hold on a second, Miss G?
of course.
Thank you. Darren, are you interested in
You know I'm down with this.
Okay.
Michigan.
Barbara, you're California.
Yes.
This is what I want you guys to do.
Me and you, Barbara.
I am going to ask everyone that's watching and everyone that's going to watch this in the future to post your name and email
And phone
from the
number.
platform that you're watching, and my producer Grace is going to pick up your information.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to start a Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet,
Okay.
and we're going to have you and anybody else that wants to volunteer from your state get the contact information for people that want to be involved in this movement.
Yes, Barbara.
Okay.
We'll start out with this information: name,
Yep.
county and state you live in, and if you live in Louisiana, I guess it's going to be parish, and then your email
Okay.
and mobile.
Okay.
All right. What we're going to do is we're going to contact. I'm going to start off small. I'm going to say you're going to contact 5 people
Okay.
that you know have been affected by CPS
Or even haven't.
and who would vote to make a change on the federal level, on the state level, and on the county level. Okay?
Okay.
And we're going to gather those names and we're going to start disseminating information. And the other thing I'm going to ask Grace to do, Grace, I hope you are listening. Grace, we're going to start a private Facebook group for each state. Now, by the way, this is going to take some time, effort, and money
Right.
because Grace doesn't work for free and I don't expect her to. So Grace, this is one of the things that I'm going to add to your list, and we're going to be rallying people in terms of support for voting and in terms of supporting each other with respect to making a change with these CPS laws.
Yes.
Okay, so I think Darren is volunteering first from Maine. Barbara's volunteering first from
Northern California.
Well, I'm just going to say California because we're going to do it
Okay.
state by state.
Okay.
Later, we can, disseminate down to counties and or
Okay.
cities.
Well, I can help. I can partner up with Lindsay and Barbara, actually.
Now, I noticed that a lot of people are posting the state that they're in,
Mhm.
and I appreciate that. But if you want to be contacted and be a part of this movement in your state, what I want you to do is I want you to post your email address, okay? And Grace is going to contact you. And then Lindsay says, I will help you, Grace. That's great.
Hey, Davis, just real quick. What if people don't want to share their email address? I'm on social media. I mean, on something like that. Can they just email Grace directly or me?
They could set up a private email just specifically for that.
Yeah, but but some people can some people. Well, okay, it's up to you guys. But
Yeah, so what I don't want to do is start thinking about the 1001 problems with the what I suggest.
mhm.
Because with anything that I suggest, there's going to be issues. And, one of those issues may be not wanting to share email addresses. I didn't say telephone numbers, but share email addresses.
Okay.
So if you have a problem, everyone knows Grace at vincentwdavis.com. You can go ahead and email Grace directly. Okay. Bree, I see Bree's comment. Bree's Southern California. Okay, Bree, you're going to have to do a little bit better. You're going to have to email Grace or post your email here, and we will contact you. Okay, but remember right now, especially in big states like California, we're just going to do this for the state of California, and then later we'll break it down into counties. And if we get big enough, we'll break it into cities. Now, I want to remind you guys something that I've spoken about this a couple of times. Several years ago, seems like just yesterday, the governor of California faced a recall. And I'm not going to say whether I supported that recall or didn't support the recall. That's not why I'm mentioning it.
Right.
I'm mentioning it because the organization that did this recall or attempted this recall was so organized and so methodic in the way they tried to gather votes. It was simply amazing. And I even spoke to the guys a couple of times because they were either right before me or right after me on my radio show at KABC. And this is before COVID, and when people were still going into the station. So let's do that, and let's start off that way. Now, Georgette and Darren, one of the things that is going to happen as this thing grows is we'll take a correction here, we'll adjust it here, but we can't do it all at one time because I don't know how popular or unpopular this is going to be. But this is what I do know. If you're an organization or a group of people with 500,000 votes or 1 million votes in your state, you're going to be a significant force when it comes to elections.
Right.
Now, I don't know about Maine, but Darren, here we vote for president.
We go down to the vote house too, man. Mr. Davis, we go out there and vote too.
And we vote for,
Write my name.
There's 2 senators, federal senators. There's several congressmen. Then we have the state assembly, the state senate, and we have city officials. We have county supervisors. And guess what? We even vote for judges. And even if you're a judge appointed by the governor, you have to face re-election.
Right.
So nothing like voting. Nothing
I
like
love that part.
the
The
power
judging.
of the vote. So let's just quit talking about it and let's start organizing. Grace, I'm going to make you responsible for the Excel spreadsheet. You probably want to do one Excel spreadsheet with every tab for every state. You know, it's going to be a huge database.
But Lindsay said she can help Grace. So Lindsay is good at that. She can help Grace with all that.
Thank
So
you.
now,
I appreciate it.
everybody that I get, I send it to Grace, Mr. Davis.
Yes, but this, I don't want you to get anyone. I want them to contact Grace.
Okay. Okay.
But you contact people you know, and they
Right.
contact people they know. So get the word out there. Basically.
Okay. Okay.
Now, here's something. Lindsay says that she can make websites.
Yes, she can.
Well, Lindsay, that would be great. You know what would even be better if you could help Grace do the Facebook pages? Because if we have 50 states in the union, we're going to need 50 Facebook pages. Because
Yes.
it's all going to be centered around state.
Right.
You know, it's not, and we can come together as a group. We can have, you know, Zoom meetings. We can have, you know, meetings together in person at, you know, our state capitals or at our city halls. I belong to a group, this happens to do with some health issues, weight specifically, and people from all over the country belong to this group. And the group is headquartered in, well, it's not even headquartered in California anymore, it's headquartered basically in Hawaii. But people in each state and in each region get together to do hikes. They get together to go to restaurants together, to meet, to share ideas. So not only people sharing ideas on the internet and on Facebook, but they're also doing it together in person. You know, we're still human beings, and a lot comes when we meet together, shake somebody's hand, and get to talk to them one-on-one. So this is what I think that we can do. I think there are a lot of people out there. I was at the beginning of the week, I was up in Northern California doing a trial, and you know, I was shocked at the number of people that are interested in making a change with CPS.
Oh my goodness, it's huge.
And I learned something. You know, I've been doing this. I've been an attorney 37 years this December, and I learned something this beginning of the week at this trial. I learned something about CPS that I kind of had an inkling about, but now I'm almost positive. I've learned one of the key dirty tricks of CPS, and I'm going to talk about that on another show. But in terms of organizing, let's do that now. Let's get that going now.
Okay.
Mr. Guai, do you have any questions or comments for me?
No, sir. Already got this wrapped up. We're good.
Okay. You're going to be the main man in Maine, so to speak.
Main man.
Miss G, do you have anything?
You're just
to
a lobster.
Miss G, do you have anything to add?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay.
But about time, though. I mean,
I do
I'm
have
sorry?
one more thing, Mr. Davis.
I
I
said
know we're getting a settlement here very soon, and we do want to retain you at that time because I
Okay.
do want to file a civil rights. I mean, just the fact that they denied me or made me give up my visitation in order to get I had a legal right to have a continuance, and I should never have been forced to give up my visitation in order to get a continuance. I mean,
that was just a thought. Yeah, it was just a strategy. A strategy.
The whole thing stinks to high heaven. I mean, and
Yes.
just I would think, the other thing, the grandson that was given away, he has an Indian, or his biological grandmother on his dad's side is a Cherokee Indian. They were given that information when he was born, but this time in this case, they put under it that it wasn't relevant. His Indian step wasn't relevant. And I'm thinking, yeah, it is, because his other side is Wintu, which is not a federally recognized tribe, but Cherokees are federally recognized, and they never contacted them before they adopted him out.
If that is accurate, okay, big if that is accurate, there's probably something you can do under federal law as some type of ICWA violation.
Right.
Yeah.
I know
Anyway.
when he was born, his dad went and found his mother. His mother's a crankster, but she has an Indian number, and they got that Indian number and turned it over to the social worker at that time when he was born. That was 2012. So they know it's in their records. They just didn't think I'd balk.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Hey, I
Okay.
bet this was a pretty good show. I think everyone liked it except for Grace. We just
Grace,
gave
is she
Grace
on?
a whole bunch of work.
Grace is like, damn it, Georgette. Oh, your fault. I'll help you, Grace. I promise. And Lindsay's good. Grace, Lindsay is very, very smart. She's always on top of it, though. She's gonna
Well,
help
I
you.
sent you a message that I thought was going to you, Miss G, but I sent it to Grace. So have her send you the message I sent her.
Okay, then I'll have her send me your information, and I will
Yes.
text you from my cell phone tonight.
Okay.
Promise you.
Okay.
And also,
And
you
what-
watch my prayer show after this. It's at 8:00.
Okay, I will.
I think
And
you're gonna
you-
like it tonight.
I watch you guys all the time.
Thank you. Yeah, you're gonna like it tonight, Barb.
Yes, I will.
All right. I
We're
want
going
to
to
thank
kick your
you.
butts.
I want to thank you, Barbara, for coming on
Yes, we are.
and
You're welcome.
sharing your story and telling us about your family. It's greatly appreciated. Mr. Derenguai, thank you again for being a co-host. Ms. G, thank you for being a co-host. And Grace, thank you for being you.
Thank
All
you
right.
for being here. I love you, Grace. Without you, I don't know what we would do.
Everyone, stay tuned. In about 15 minutes, we're going to have our CPS prayer show. I'm not going to be talking about CPS. We're going to be talking about prayer and how to help get through these trying times. So stay tuned for that. And everyone else, we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.